Hello, damsels and knights. I'm Sam Godwin, and welcome to my channel. Having ranked historical figures nicknamed the Great from antiquity and the Middle Ages, it's now time to crown the greatest man of the modern era. In contrast to medieval times, there are very few greats, but they are all excellent in their respective fields. Let's see who they are. Frederick II of Prussia, Henry IV of France, Gustav Adolf II of Sweden, and three rulers of Russia, Ivan III, Peter I, and Catherine II. Even though there are only 6 people to rank, it was very difficult to choose how to rank them, as they were all very successful rulers in their own era, and it all came down to details. As always, remember that this ranking is only my personal opinion, so don't take it too seriously. Number 6. Ivan the Great. He was Grand Prince of Moscow and all of Russia from 1462 until his death in 1505, and was the first Russian ruler to use the title Tsar after centralizing his power over newly conquered lands. His reign is marked by important events in Russian history. He expanded his territory so much that he became known as the gatherer of all the lands of Russia, reuniting the various duchies around Moscow under his rule, creating a unified, autocratic Russian state. Through his marriage to Sophia Palaiologos, niece of the last Eastern Roman emperor, he considered himself a successor of Rome. For this reason, Moscow will be known as the Third Rome. Among his various conquests, the most important was the defeat of the Tatars in 1480, ending their influence over Russia after centuries of dominance. An impressive building program took place in Moscow under Ivan, including the renovation of the Kremlin, and he also introduced a new, important legal code. Number 5. Henry IV of France. He was the first French monarch from the House of Bourbon. He first ruled Navarre from 1572, and in the 1580s became the next in line for the throne of France. However, he wasn't the only claimant. 2 other men, named Henry, also wanted to be king of France. A civil war erupted, but by 1589 he was the only one left, and he was crowned king of France. A Calvinist himself, he was forced to convert to Catholicism in order to rule France, but as a pragmatic politician, he accepted this condition. During his rule, he achieved something incredible for the time, making peace between Catholics and Protestants in France. In 1598, he promulgated the Edict of Nantes, which guaranteed religious liberty to Protestants and effectively ended the French Wars of Religion. Despite divisions remained between his supporters and non-supporters, he balanced the interests of the Catholic and Protestant factions in France. He was an active ruler who focused on economics, regularizing state finances, promoting agriculture, trade, and industry to facilitate communication within France and strengthen the country's cohesion. His main foreign policy success was the Peace of Vervins in 1598, which ended the long-running conflict with Spain. Henry's vision extended beyond France, and he financed several expeditions to North America. This marked the beginning of French colonization of the Americas, which would later lead to France becoming a colonial empire. Sadly, he was assassinated in 1610, bringing a premature end to a successful reign and an age of prosperity for France. Number 4. Catherine II of Russia. Barely missing out from the podium, we find the mother of the fatherland. Catherine became Empress of Russia after dethroning her husband, Pyotr III, in 1762, beginning a long and eventful reign that lasted until 1796. Inspired by the ideas of the Enlightenment, she oversaw a cultural and scientific renaissance in Russia, establishing universities and cities, continuing the modernization of his state, and thanks to the many reforms promulgated, she established Russia as a superpower in the European political sphere. She also oversaw the expansion of Russian territory, conquering the Crimean Khanate and the coasts of the Black and Azov Seas. In the West, the Polish-Lithuanian Commonwealth was partitioned in 1772 and again in 1795, with the Russian Empire gaining the largest part. Russians also began colonizing Alaska under her rule. Despite her many reforms, her final years in power were more decadent and less enlightened, as some of her reforms were annulled and she became more autocratic. Number 3. Peter I of Russia. After the mother of fatherland, I decided to put Peter Romanov, the father of modern Russia, at the bottom of the podium. He was first Tsar from 1682 and then proclaimed himself the first emperor of all Russia in 1721, establishing the Russian Empire. Peter understood that Russia was far beyond most European monarchies in economic and military terms, so he started a long and extensive campaign to modernize his state, introducing a cultural revolution that replaced some traditional, medieval social and political systems with more modern ones used in other developed kingdoms. Many institutions of the Russian government trace their origins to his reign, during which he introduced Western culture to Russia. He also expanded his empire after long and difficult wars against the Ottomans and the Swedes, resulting in him taking control of the shores of the Azov Sea and the northern part of the Baltic nations. In addition to all this, he founded the first Russian navy and, most importantly, the future capital of his empire and a highly influential city in the modern era, St. Petersburg. His efforts and reforms elevated Russia to become a major power in Europe. And now we have arrived at the top. Two amazing rulers who changed their world, but only one can be crowned the greatest man of modernity. They were both great and active generals who fought in person the battles that would shape their destiny. They were also very good rulers who made their respective countries better and stronger. This fact is an achievement in itself, since it's not common to find rulers who were both great generals and great rulers. But only one can be the first. On one hand, we have Gustav Adolf II, the Lion of the North, one of the greatest kings in Swedish history. He became king of Sweden in 1611 at the age of 16, at a time when the country was involved in 3 wars with Russia, Denmark, Norway, and Poland. However, during his 20-year reign, he managed to defeat all of these enemies and expand Swedish territory and influence. In 1630, he also decided to intervene in the 30 Years' War, in which he demonstrated his incredible skills and energetic force on the battlefield. In his campaigns, he introduced many reforms to warfare, such as having a standing national army instead of an army of mercenaries, and he introduced new ways of fighting the battles of his time, earning him the nickname, the father of modern warfare. As well as being an outstanding general, he was also a very good ruler, strengthening the power of the monarchy and promoting military and administrative reforms that made Sweden stronger economically, culturally, and militarily. Thanks to his immense efforts, Sweden extended its influence over Europe and became a powerhouse for the next 100 years, living its golden age. His opponent is none other than the greatest king in Prussian history, Friedrich II, the man who transformed his state into an empire that would eventually dominate Europe. After a difficult youth under his father's rule, he became King of Prussia in 1740, ruling until 1786. He modernized the bureaucracy and reformed the judicial system. He supported the arts and philosophers, allowing freedom of the press and literature and encouraging the ideas of the Enlightenment across his nation. His administrative reforms and enrichment of the nation laid the foundations for the expansion of Prussian influence among the German states. He was personally very active in the everyday ruling of the state, controlling various aspects of his nation, from the economy to the legal system, as well as his area of expertise, war. He is considered one of the best generals of all time, having fought 3 major wars with overall success. He conquered Silesia, Saxony, and in 1772, during the First Partition of Poland, he obtained East Prussia without a fight. During the 7 Years' War, he managed to win the conflict, with a little bit of luck, despite having to defend his nation on 3 fronts, fighting alone against Russia, France, and Austria. His immense work made Prussia a dominant nation that would become the powerful German Empire in the next century. It's hard to choose who among these two was the best, since they were both great generals and great rulers, but we need to decide. For me, the greatest man of modernity was Friedrich II of Prussia. He simply had more influence on the world and overcome more difficulties overall. So here is the final ranking of the greatest men of modernity. As you can see, Friedrich, Gustav, and Peter will compete in the video for the title of Greatest Man of All Time. Thanks for watching, damsels and knights. If you enjoyed the content, don't forget to subscribe, and we'll see you in the next video.